Best Media Podcast Network.
¿Cómo estamos, mi gente? Welcome to another edition of Lucha con Macho, as this is Lucha Talk number 5. Mi gente, just sitting here doing a little salsa beforehand. Coño, that intro is fire. Thank you so much for that, D. But, guys, we have to do some house cleaning first. Look at the bottom of the screen here. Check out the ticker. Follow me on all of those sites because, guys, we are rising. That's right. Our YouTube channel here has gone from 450 subscribers to almost 1,900. I don't know what happened. I just have to say thank you so much for the support. I'm so excited that you enjoy my brand of professional wrestling talk because I know a lot of people don't like this brand. A lot of people don't enjoy this style. And I do like to talk about the things that others don't want to talk about, the things that are a little bit too uncomfortable for everybody. That's what I want to do because I believe that it is important as wrestling fans to talk about the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, I get it. I understand what you're saying. Sometimes professional wrestling can be taken too seriously. Well, guys, there's nothing wrong with taking something seriously as long as you treat it with the love and respect that you do everything else. Now, let's be clear about something right here and right now. AEW Revolution was one of the best AEW pay-per-views of the calendar year. I'm not comparing two companies. I'm not doing that shit. We're not going back and forth and talking about whether this was better than that. We're not doing that. Let's let other people do that stuff. Let's let the hyperbole that has been bred in professional wrestling, leave that stuff elsewhere. What we are going to do is we are going to talk about the show last night and what it meant, the stories going forward, and we're going to talk about the stars that were made. Because that's what I believe professional wrestling has given us. It has given us the opportunity to talk about the people and the shows that happened right here in the moment. So let's do that. I have to tell you, obviously, I'm a homer wearing my cowboy shit shirt. I am a huge Hangman Adam Page fan. I would say as a whole, I believe Hangman Adam Page should be mentioned with the likes of Cody, Roman, Seth, Punk, AJ, Will Ospreay. I don't know why Hangman Adam Page is never mentioned with these other greats, with these other world-renowned professional wrestlers. But I think he should be. See, Hangman Adam Page can go out there and he can give you a blood feud. He can make you invest into what he's doing. You see, you look at his matches with Swerve Strickland, you cared about every single match that they had. Every person that watched Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, they were invested entirely. And once again, we did it. But we not only did that this time, but we did it with Hangman Adam Page and MJF. Hey, yo, old school. How you doing? Thank you so much for joining the chat, man. We are just talking about AEW Revolution here because the show was pretty solid, man. It was a pretty solid show. MJF and Hangman Adam Page, they tore the house down. They started the show off with a banger. I thought this was the match of the night for me. I know that a little personal bias in there being that I am such a big Page fan. I wouldn't like to really say that about MJF, but what I will say is that he has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but I believe he does so by doing exactly what he's meant to do. You see, he doesn't work a lot, and that drives you nuts. He doesn't cut a lot of promos, and that drives you nuts. And I think he's just forever living in his character. He is one of those guys that is going to stay kayfabe forever. If you've seen him at an autograph signing, if you've seen him at just a wrestling show, he's just a terrible person. but he's definitely playing a character. Oh man, thank you so much for stopping by before you jump into work, man. Yeah, I got work in about an hour here as well, and I just wanted to get this show out because I had so much to say about it. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, this match itself, it did have a little bit of a hiccup. There was a spot there in which MJF fell on his face. It was clear that the two men were both looking for a different result, but so far there's been no reports that Max has been injured, so it could have just been a scary mistake that we all caught. And thank God that there's no injuries at play here because that match was spectacular. I don't think that little hiccup took away from the match at all. Uh, Leading into Mercedes Moné versus Momo, I think this is another Mercedes match. I mean, we are not going to knock her work. She does really well in the ring, bell to bell. I just think her selling feuds is not her strong suit. The fact that she's been able to give different women the shine that she's been able to do at every pay-per-view, I think is something that needs to be praised. Good for her to do that. Good for her to actually always have someone else on there. When we talk about the Hollywood ending, I am going to mention why I believe that we already have Mercedes' next feud in the works. From here, we're going to move on to Swerve and Ricochet. And I think, and I want to state this, I think that the apology should be as loud as the disrespect because Ricochet has come in to AEW and he told you from the get-go, I want to be the face of this company. I want to be the top guy in this company. And people laughed at him because they only saw what WWE allowed us to see. We didn't get to see this version of Ricochet. We didn't get to see the Andrew Tate character that he is portraying. And now we're watching it and he's doing it so seamlessly. It's almost like this is who he is in real life. I always go back to what Stone Cold Steve Austin said about the character of Stone Cold. He said, when it started to work for me was when I realized that Stone Cold was just Steve Williams turned up on the radio. It was him. And I wonder if a lot of what we're seeing in Ricochet is maybe this is who Trevor is. And it's being portrayed beautifully on screen. What him and Swerve Strickland have done, we had two men going out there vying for the next opportunity to be the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. I don't believe their feud is over. I don't believe Ricochet lets this go. Yeah, he took the L yesterday, but they're 1-1 now. That's right, guys. They're 1-1 now. So I believe somehow, some way, Ricochet stops Swerve from winning the AEW World Championship, and I believe that it turns into a triple threat match. I think we get Jon Moxley, Ricochet, and Swerve Strickland in the future. This match itself was phenomenal. It was one of the better matches of the evening, but I think we could say that almost every single match was better. It was better than the last one. I mean, we did have the snoozers, which were kind of mind-boggling to me because let's be clear about something. When we talk about the next match, we're just going to brush over it because, wow, just the downfall for Okada. Now, I am a fan of Brody. I think Brody King is super underrated. And I think between him and Buddy Murphy, I think that they are a beautiful tag team. I think that they do great things together. And I think not having Malachi there, I think will help both of them. But, this match wasn't it. I don't know what's happening. Okada used to be one of these guys that you knew you could throw him out there with anybody and he can give you a spectacular match. I don't know what this says about Okada, to be quite honest with you. If this speaks more towards how talented the roster is and maybe he's just not the top guy like he was in Japan. But it definitely feels like Okada. Ooh, we got From the Dungeon. AEW will close in 2 years. Ooh, let's see, man. They've already surpassed WCW. Yeah. Let's see. Glad to see Swerve got back in the title picture. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Oh, we are going to talk about Jon Moxley because I have some opinions about Mr. Mox. And I don't think people are going to be happy with my opinions, but I think it is necessary. But we will get to that in due time. I will try to get there before you get to work there, my friend. Yeah, I think Okada has just been caught up in the storm where he no longer is the most talented guy on the roster, and he was that in Japan. even with the bout machine Kenny Omega, as we're talking about Kenny here needing to go to WWE before he's done, absolutely. I need to see Kenny Omega at WrestleMania. We need that to happen. For fans, we need that to happen, even if it's one match. We got to see Sting wrestle at WrestleMania one time. We need to see Kenny Omega wrestle at WrestleMania one time. It just needs to happen. Yeah, I think Okada has just he just got caught up in the shuffle. There's just too many people on here, and I don't think they know how to actually properly build him. I think maybe sticking him with Don Callis, maybe kicking out Takeshita, and maybe Okada joins him, and maybe Okada is like his next big like signing. Like, let's do that. Let's give him that heel, because I think that Okada could take over AEW. I want to see Okada versus Ricochet. I want to see things like that, but we'll see. The Hurt Syndicate beat the Outrunners. I don't think that anybody is surprised by this one here. I mean, let's be truthful. The Hurt Syndicate is here to hurt people. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP. This is going to be one of the best things that's ever happened to AEW. They are absolutely the perfect group for this organization, because let's be clear about this, guys. Let's be clear. Bobby Lashley wasn't given the shine he should have gotten. He should still be in WWE running shit. He should still be feuding with the likes of Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. He should still be out there, but they fumbled the bag. And AEW has picked that up. They have presented us with the same character, with the group that we love, because everyone loved the Hurt Business. Everyone. And now we're getting one of the best versions. By the time Bobby Lashley gets to the World Championship, I think AEW will be completely overrun. They will be running the entire organization. And I think that that's a great thing. Now we're jumping into the Hollywood ending, where I will bring up Mercedes Moné. So Toni Storm and Mariah May, what they have given us is they have absolutely given us a story that will be studied in wrestling schools for the next couple of decades. This is how you build a star. Bryan Danielson once said that he told Tony Khan to go get Mariah May because he saw her and he knew that she had the goods. Boy, was that man right. The story in which they were able to tell us with this Hollywood ending was phenomenal. Let's be clear here, guys. This is one of the best stories AEW has ever told. Toni Storm is the MVP of AEW. She's the greatest star to ever come out of this company. It's not even close. You can make the argument it's Kenny Omega. Sure. Make that argument. You can try to make the argument that it's Will Ospreay. Go ahead. I personally believe, that's just my opinion, I personally believe that Toni Storm is the biggest star to come out of this company, and she's also done a great job of building Mariah May. Now, this is a blood feud, and I believe Toni Storm has her work cut out for her, because now she has to go make someone else. So, hey, go make a Harley Cameron. Go make a Sky Blue. Go make a Julia Hart. Can you believe that she has gone from getting a pie thrown in her face by Charlotte Flair to being a laughingstock of professional wrestling, to go to AEW to be their best superstar they've ever made? Is that not amazing what she has done? And then for her to be in a movie, for her to show her character at the movie premiere. I mean, Mariah May attacked her at the premiere of Queen of the Ring. And I was like, yes, this is what they're missing in AEW. If you go back to the Von Erichs movie, MJF was supposed to be in that movie. And yeah, he didn't play a big part, but there were more WWE people there to support him. This time, the AEW people showed out. I think Toni Storm could make Camille. Hey, let's capitalize off the fact that she's a big part in a movie. Let's do that. I think we could definitely do that. Let's see here. We have a contradictory opinion here. I don't know what you see in Toni Storm is super overrated. She left WWE because she couldn't get any. Honestly, I think friend of the show, Patty Rican, once stated that he believes that it had a lot to do with her attitude backstage. But I think in terms of what she's been able to present to professional wrestling and what she's been able to do in AEW and build this character, like this old school character, I think it's just worked. She talks the way she needs to talk. Like she has those like bang words that like people want to hear it out. Like people want that attitude era kind of style of talking. and she does drop like the bitches and the see you next Tuesdays. Like she drops that stuff, and that's what people want to see. She's more rated R than people are, willing to admit that they actually want. I will touch on some of the things that you guys have in the chat here. Just want to get through there, but I'm 100% old school. Am I going to talk about that here? That beautiful Hall of Fame induction. I'm going to definitely touch on that. But from here, we go to Kenny Omega beating Takeshita. And yeah, I thought this was a solid match. Kenny Omega, once again, just getting into the fold, looking like Kenny Omega. He's one of the guys that can be close to death and then come back to professional wrestling and just show the world that he might be the best wrestler on the fucking planet. Like, I don't even know how we don't talk about that. Kenny Omega just comes back, has not skipped a beat. I don't know how he does it. He's just a brilliant performer. I think his mind is just wonderful, the way it works in terms of in-ring work, the way he was able to get Takeshita over the way he did. I mean, it's just phenomenal. From here, we have Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. I don't know why we got the outcome we had. Both of these men had a good, solid cage match, but I thought the objective was to make Kyle Fletcher. Why not have him have this monumental win over Will Ospreay? It makes no sense to me. I get why they did it, because Will Ospreay cuts the promo at the end where he's like, "Oi, I'm hiding from AEW Medical." And he's like talking about wanting to be the face of the company. And I get it. Everybody wants to be the face of the company. That's awesome. Everybody's fighting for the same spot. That's cool. But I think it would have mattered. That promo hits a lot harder after a loss. That's kind of how I feel about it. That promo would hit a lot harder after a loss. Like, I failed tonight, but my objective is to be the face of the company. And I don't understand why we got a somber promo after, a monumental win, a big time cage match. But we end the show with Jon Moxley versus Cope. That's right. Jon Moxley versus Cope. And guys, the match itself was boring as fuck. But I think that was the objective. You see, the brain busters in the 80s, they used to say it all the time. I'm not here for your entertainment. I'm here to win matches. That's why they won every single match with a different finish. They didn't care. Their job was to win. They don't care if they pissed you off. And that brings me to my next comment. Jon Moxley's needed. When was the last time universally where WWE fans and AEW fans can sit down with each other and can actually agree on something? One of the things we agree with is that we all hate Jon Moxley. Everybody wants him to go away. 100% everybody wants him to go away. To me, that is one of the coolest things ever. We have a proper heel, guys. We have a guy that we can universally say, like, get the title off him. You can say it's changed the channel heat. You can say, oh man, he just drives me nuts. He pisses me off. I want anybody to beat him. That's good. The last time we were here was 2009, Randy Orton, where nobody wanted him to win because he was just punting everybody's head. It was one of the just absolute worst things that happened. And now we have it with Jon Moxley. And not only did he do that, but he's done it in such a way in which he's galvanized every single wrestling fan together. We can universally say it, that we have all become the Grinch, and Jon Moxley is the living embodiment of Christmas. We don't want that shit. We don't want him. It's wonderful to watch. It is. He needs to be the champion. He needs to continue to beat all your favorites. He needs to continue to beat all my favorites. I want him to do that. So ultimately, when he does lose the championship, it matters so much more. I love the fact that everyone anticipated Christian Cage to come out to cash in his little clipboard, and he was going to steal the victory. We're going to go from heel to heel champion. He hits a spear on Adam Copeland. He hits the unprettier on Cope. He goes for the pin, and then he gets strapped in the Bulldog Choke. One of the coolest finishers in professional. If you don't like the Bulldog Choke, I just don't think you like submissions. It's so dope. I mean, we've all done it to, like, brothers. We've all done it in, like, the park to friends. We've all done that move, and he turned it into one of the most ruthless finishers in all of professional wrestling. Jon Moxley has become the most hated man in wrestling, and it's beautiful. It's awesome. And, yeah. Ooh. What do you say here about his finish? What do you say about his finish? Yeah, he worked me because his Death Rider shit makes me want to go to the bathroom. Yes, I love it. But we all agree for whatever reason, everybody hates him. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a reason to hate Jon Moxley, and that's why I think he's so important, because Seth Rollins said it in an interview a couple of months ago. He said wrestling is lacking the heels, like the actual characters that we loathe. We're not going to get that out of John Cena. We're not going to get that out of The Rock, because fans love when those guys like turn heel. A lot of people love the Doctor of Thugonomics. A lot of people love The Rock, the most electrifying man. Oh, wait, when he was a heel, he was the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. And now he's the final boss. People love him for that. And the same thing works for John Cena. Everybody's anticipating him to be the heel. They want this version. We've been screaming for it. This is his swan song to us. AEW's pay-per-view, I believe, is a 4 out of 5 empanadas, guys. That's what I'm giving it. I think the show was really good. I just want to remind you that hyperbole, although it is in your vocabulary, not everything needs to be exaggerated. Not everything we saw yesterday was the greatest thing that AEW ever had. Not every match we saw was the greatest match of all time. Not every match we saw yesterday was the match of the year. It was just a really good show. And AEW definitely do the opposite of WCW. WCW used to care more about Nitro than they did about the actual pay-per-views. There was a lot of times where I came out of Halloween Havoc or Fall Brawl or Super Brawl thinking like, man, last week's Nitro episode was better than this. I'm so glad I had the scramble box. Because can you imagine my dad having to buy all that shit for me? No way. I know both of you guys had the scramble box too. I don't want to hear it. We all lived in big cities. We all had the scramble box. But yeah, for me, I thought that was a 4 out of 5 show. I thought it was the best show dating back to last March. If we're just using 12 months in a row, I think it was the best AEW show of the past year. Now let's move on to some great things. And we're going to talk about it here. We're going to bring up old school because I know that all three of us here, we all agree. Lex Luger is in the Hall of Fame, guys. Let me tell you something. When I was a little boy sitting down watching Lex Luger with my dad, just watching my dad talk about Lex Luger, he was my dad's favorite wrestler. I grew up such a big fan. I have a connection with him. I've been able to make friendships with both of them in our chat with D and Old School here, just based on just our love of Lex. When Old School was on the podcast before, I believe he wore a Lex Luger t-shirt. You know, I think it's just our love of Lex Luger. I think a lot of people forget how amazing he was. I think a lot of people have told themselves that he wasn't a good wrestler without actually going back and watching this man work. He was just a classic professional wrestler. He just wasn't but he wasn't Ultimate Warrior. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't that. He was a good wrestler. He was good to great. A multiple-time WCW heavyweight champion. A absolute beast of a man. The way he was able to torture rack just about anybody. When he beat Hulk Hogan on that episode of WCW Nitro, that shocked the world. Knowing that, I mean, he drops the championship at the very next pay-per-view, and that's fine. But just watching Lex Luger grow, from watching him as the All-American when I was a fan there as well, watching him as the narcissist, he's always been a special part of my life. He's always been my connection with my father. And I love that I've been able to build new connections with Old School and with D, because I feel like me and D talk about, like, D, he'll send me a text randomly talking about how Lex Luger's the greatest United States champion of all time. And that's how I feel about him. I agree. I think he's the greatest United States. Yeah, look, as soon as I say it, look at right here. That's hilarious. As soon as I say it, greatest United States champion of all time. I love it. I love it. Yes. Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there, D. His WWE run was kind of bad. I mean, I did enjoy the All-American Lex Luger. I do think that them doing things like they did, I think it hurt the business a lot. Like, if you go back to why we didn't get Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 8, the fact that they tried it at a house show and didn't get the reactions they wanted. They did the same thing with Lex Luger. They had him win the WWE Championship or WWF Championship on a house show and didn't get the reaction they wanted, which is why they never put him over on Yoko. Man, I think we've seen WCW gave us Bret the Hitman Hart versus Lex Luger for the United States Championship, and that match was great. And they loved it so much that they just released their YouTube channel, and you can watch that match in total, like in whole. You can watch the entire match, and it was great. Lex Luger and Bret for the WWF Championship would have been phenomenal. I don't understand why they didn't pull the trigger. I mean, I am a Yokozuna fan, so I was a fan as well because he beat Hogan, and anybody that beats Hogan, I love. So I definitely loved Yokozuna. I didn't really like him so much as a kid because I'm a kid. I didn't like bad guys except for Mr. Perfect. That was my bad guy. And miss that was pretty much it. But yeah, guys, I love the fact that Lex Luger is officially in the WWE Hall of Fame. I love that. I know a lot of fans have been pushing for it for a very, very long time. Let's see what you got to say here. Their All-American deal was bad. Kind of like the Sharknado flicks. That's funny. That's funny. What do we got here? They should have pulled the trigger on Hogan Flair. Yeah, I agree. Both of these things should have happened. 100%. They should have happened. I don't know why they utilized them for house shows as a way to do that. I mean, they learned from their mistakes. If you remember when Chris Jericho beat Triple H in the match that didn't happen, I think we all remember that match, right? And then he has to relinquish the championship because of Earl Hebner later on that night. I mean, look at the crowd. It's like a 45-second clip, but look at the crowd reaction. I think if they would have done that for Lex and had Lex actually win instead of doing like the whole like double Royal Rumble thing, like I think it would have benefited. I think it would have benefited Lex. I also think he talks about it on the CVV podcast. He was a little bit selfish, so when you watch his Lex Luger biography, when he's on the tour bus, he does complain a lot. And I think he kind of needed maybe had he been with Sting earlier, I think he starts to change a little bit when he goes back to WCW. We've heard Eric Bischoff talk about it. We've heard Sting talk about it. When he came back, he was just a different man. And when he came back for that final run, when he joins the NWO Wolfpack and all that stuff, I mean, I think it's awesome. I think that's another thing that I just realized right here that I think both of you guys will agree on is, dude, another NWO member has entered the WWE Hall of Fame. How amazing is that? Lex Luger being NWO Wolfpack. We have Sting, we have Kevin Nash, we have Scott Hall, we have X-Pac. All of these NWO guys into the Hall of Fame. Scott Steiner. I mean, it's just great. Bret Hart, Jeff Jarrett. NWO has, they quite possibly could be the greatest faction of all time because they have the most Hall of Fame members ever. It's wild. Oh, let's see here. Have you watched WCW on YouTube? Yes. It's all that's been on my TV. I think I said this in a TikTok video a couple weeks ago when the Elimination Chamber was happening. I only had on my television the Royal Rumble, like over and over and over. So I was just watching Royal Rumble after Royal Rumble before Royal Rumble actually happened for 2025. And then I did the same thing with the Elimination Chamber. I watched every single chamber match that they had on there, every single one, even the one that Swagger won, which was just like mind-boggling to me that Jack Swagger won an Elimination Chamber. Just wild. Yeah, I watched every single one. And as soon as I saw that WCW put on their, I think it was UD that actually sent it to me. As soon as I saw that they had a YouTube channel, that's all that's been on my TV. That's it. I've just been watching match after match. And wow, they have a lot of Sting stuff. So it's definitely got me excited. 100%. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show. Don't want to keep you too long. I know we got to get to work, all of us here. So I wanted to say thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for subscribing, for liking. Please follow me on the TikToks. Follow me here on YouTube. The best way to get the podcast out there is through word of mouth. Tell your friends, hey, here's this guy. He likes to upset wrestling fans by talking about things that they don't want to talk about, things they want to hide. One thing I will say before we go is I find it odd that Cody Rhodes went into business for himself 2 years in a row. Being told like, hey, last year, give up your spot, be a good soldier. The rumor was that he was going to win the title at Starrcade. They were going to have a Starrcade event just so he could win the title, like his daddy did. And no, I need to have it at WrestleMania. And then this year he was asked to go heel, and he said no. Now, Brian Gewirtz did shoot this down, so we don't know what's true. We don't know who's telling the truth. Is it Meltzer? Is it Gewirtz? We don't know. It's who you choose to believe. But based on what we've seen about Cody, I'm going to say that I believe the rumor. Ooh, dude, I got to say, Brett is my number one now. I had to drop Taker with all the Trump shit. Yeah, I mean, I love that because I'm a huge Bret Hart fan. Love Bret the Hitman Hart. He's in my Mount Rushmore. He is, I mean, in terms of the pecking order for me, in terms of the men, just men alone, I would say it's Sting, Bret Hart, Bryan Danielson, and Roman Reigns. Those are my 4 favorite wrestlers of all time. I can't even put anybody in there. It took me a long time to take Lesnar out of my Mount Rushmore, but Roman Reigns has just become so impactful and so important to me. Like my connection with my son, the way we root for him. Like now when he has a hit and he's standing on first base, we throw up the ones. I mean, that's Roman Reigns just means everything. And, he's just a really great guy. So I love him. I can't wait. I love that he has turned into the new Brock Lesnar. He is no longer a full-time superstar. He is no longer here for your title picture. He is here for story. I'm going to come in, I'm going to win my match, and I'm going to go. And then I'm just going to leave the business to you guys. And I love that. I think that's beautiful for Roman Reigns. Becky Lynch is the greatest of all time, by the way. Don't even want that. In terms of women wrestlers ever, Becky Lynch, number 1, all time, 100%. Becky Lynch, AJ Lee, Bayley, top 3 women in professional wrestling history. Not even close. Oh, Charlotte Flair. That's my Mount Rushmore right there. Becky Lynch, AJ Lee, Charlotte Flair, and Bayley. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate each and every one of you. I can't wait to come back here for Lucha Talk 6, as we will most likely be talking about the Raw tonight, because Madison Square Garden has CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And my God, are we just not going to lose our minds with excitement over this match? But we'll save that for the next time. Please come on back. I look forward to talking with you. And until next time, que tenga buen día.